Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping into this video. It's a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, how to be guided. Now, you know, different people have different religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and just orientations towards life, and yet we can all agree on the fact that we want to be guided by something good, whether you call it God, whether you call it spirit, love, inspiration, sanity, wisdom, compassion. I don't care what you call it. We all fundamentally, as we go through our day, we want to make choices that are good. And hence, I say we all want to be guided by you might even say driven by one of those, words that I just named. Again, different people with different belief systems. Some people, it's like a Christian, I want to be guided by the Holy Spirit or Jesus. Whereas someone who is maybe a secular atheist says, I want to be guided by compassion. I want to make my decisions based on compassion. I have a very dear friend who she just doesn't resonate with the word God for a variety of reasons, but she really has a huge heart and she really loves this idea of being guided by love, letting love be her guide. Yesterday at a meeting that I led, someone said that a question that she loves is, in this situation, what would love do? So the languaging or the belief system is not so important to me, but what is important is this recognition that, um, you know, that we all want, and I would argue need, to be guided, inspired, driven by something good. And when again, some people are going to listen to this video. They might not believe in God. So when I say something good, I'm not saying it has to be this concept of something outside of you, but being guided by our heart or our compassion. So, because from the moment we wake up, we're making decisions all day long. Some of these decisions are very micro, like, oh, do I stay in bed for do I get out of bed? It starts right there. Do I spend another 5 minutes in bed or do I hop out of bed? Do I start off my day meditating or do I start off my day taking a cup of coffee? That's a little extreme. Um, do I start off my day saying, thank you that I'm alive? Oh, what grace it is I'm alive. Or do we start off our day thinking about, something we're resentful about? The thing is all through the day, we're making all sorts of decisions. Some of them small, some of them quite big. And some of the small decisions we make can actually have big impacts. So, if we reflect on our experience, then then we can see that all through the day we're making all these little things, all these little decisions. Of course, those decisions and the effects of those decisions, they end up being our life. That's really such a huge part of our life is these decisions we make. And if we observe ourselves and reflect on the day, we notice that so many of these decisions come from a place of habit. So we want to make choices not from a place of habit, and B, we want to be guided. And Bruno Groening spoke about this thing he called the force of habit. And all we need to do is watch ourselves. Trust me, I'm right there with all of you. I'm shocked to see how many decisions I make from the force of habit and how many decisions I make from not from a place of fear or resentment or something not good, basically, the not good. Um, one author, what's his name? The book is called Zero Limits, and I forget the name of the author right now. Joe Vitale. And he talks about this Hawaiian system of spirituality called Ho'oponopono, and he says, every moment we're either being driven by inspiration or driven by fear. And while I might not agree, like, okay, that it's only inspiration or only fear, I think he's spot on in telling us speaking exactly what Bruno was trying to convey, is that moment by moment, we're driven by what's good or what's not good. So here's how Bruno Groening says how to be guided. Listen inside, and I'm going to provide a link to this page. It's and the subject, be a God listener instead of a man listener. So listen in silence to your conscience. Hearken to your conscience, totally turned off from the actions around you, turned off from the words around you, and turned off from the thoughts around you. Hearken inside of you, and this conscience will answer you. And how this answer will be, so let it be. So it is solely true because your conscience is your soul, and your soul is divine, is God inside of you. So, how to be guided according to the teachings of Bruno Groening? First of all, recognize that moment by moment, we're all guided moment by good or by evil. Second of all, recognize that a lot of our decisions are coming from the force of habit, that a lot of times we just default to habits that are not so good for us. And then lastly, Bruno gives very specific instructions how to make decisions. To listen deeply inside ourselves to our conscience. And this is what Bruno means by be a God listener and not a man listener. I'll read a few more quotes. He, man, the human being, must become a God listener. He must come into divine guidance. Without this, there is no life. Friends, don't become dependent on people, only on the one how it is indeed in reality. We are all dependent on God. Does not man want to be free? But he was chiseled of his freedom. God gave to him from the beginning by people who are ignorant and who only lived in the belief this, that, and that must be so, that he has to conform. Then he became a man listener, and therefore he could not listen anymore to what God tells him. And therefore he no longer has the divine guidance anymore. Then he became unsafe. That is, he became without rights. So that's the problem, and Bruno Groening has provided us with the solution. Thanks so much. I wish you amazing tuning in and listening to God to get your answers. Mwah, mwah, mwah.